Welcome to the Squid Games, pentathlon. Hey everyone, Ellen here. Today, I'm super excited to share with you my latest adventure. You all know how much I love diving into new experiences, especially when they involve a bit of thrill and a lot of fun. So when I heard about this unique opportunity, I just couldn't resist. Imagine combining the excitement of Squid Games with the safety of a friendly competition. Intrigued? Well, let me take you through it. So you know how much I love games, right? Board games, video games, outdoor games, you name it, I'm in. But this was something entirely different. It was like stepping into a real-life adventure, with all the suspense and excitement of the Squid Games, but without the life-threatening stakes. I mean, who wouldn't want to experience that? But even I got a little freaked out watching Squid Game Season 2. The intensity, the drama, the sheer unpredictability of it all. It was enough to make anyone's heart race. Remember that terrifying bridge game? Yikes. Just thinking about it gives me chills. The suspense was palpable and the stakes were sky high. Remember that terrifying bridge game? Yikes. The idea of stepping onto a glass bridge, not knowing if it would hold your weight or shatter beneath you, was enough to make anyone's palms sweat. It was one of those moments where you couldn't help but hold your breath and hope for the best. And don't even get me started on that insane fight on the swinging platform. The sheer chaos, the adrenaline, the desperate struggle to stay on top. It was like watching a high-stakes action movie unfold right before your eyes. It was intense, to say the least. But here's the thing. I'm always up for a challenge. Whether it's a mental puzzle or a physical feat, I love pushing myself to see what I'm capable of. So when I heard about a chance to try a safer 5-game version of the Squid Games, a pentathlon if you will, I said sign me up. It was the perfect blend of excitement and safety, and I couldn't wait to dive in. So when I heard about a chance to try a safer 5-game version of the Squid Games, a pentathlon if you will, I said sign me up. Okay, maybe I hesitated for a second, or a minute. But you get the point. The idea of facing those challenges was both thrilling and a bit nerve-wracking. But hey, that's what makes it fun, right? Okay, maybe I hesitated for a second, or a minute, but you get the point. The thought of stepping into those games, even a safer version, was a bit daunting. But the excitement of the challenge and the promise of a thrilling experience outweighed any initial doubts I had. After all, what's life without a little adventure? Now I'm not talking about anything life or death here, folks. No way. This was all about fun, friendly competition, and maybe facing a fear or two. The organizers made sure everything was safe and well planned, so we could focus on enjoying the experience without any real danger. It was all about pushing our limits in a controlled environment. This was all about fun, friendly competition, and maybe facing a fear or two. Imagine a group of friends coming together, each one eager to test their mettle and see how far they could go. The camaraderie, the laughter, the shared moments of triumph and challenge, it was an experience like no other. We cheered each other on, celebrated our victories, and learned from our setbacks. Get ready to hear about my wild ride through the Squid Game pentathlon. From the nerve-wracking moments to the exhilarating victories, it was a journey filled with unforgettable memories. So buckle up and join me as I take you through each game, each challenge, and each heart-pounding moment. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. Red light, green light, and heart palpitations. This game is a classic, but with a twist that makes it even more nerve-wracking. Imagine the tension of a traditional children's game, but amplified to 100 times the intensity. The stakes are high and the pressure is on. First up, red light, green light. The anticipation was palpable as we all lined up at the starting line. Each contestant was sizing up the competition, trying to gauge who would be the fastest, the most agile, and who might falter under the pressure. Remember that creepy giant doll? The one with the piercing eyes that seemed to follow your every move? Yeah, this one wasn't as giant or as creepy, but still. It had an unsettling presence that made the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. Yeah, this one wasn't as giant or as creepy, but still. The doll's head would swivel around with a mechanical whir, scanning the field for any movement. If you moved when the light was red, you were out. Simple rules, but the execution was anything but simple. Standing there, waiting for the green light, my heart was racing. The seconds felt like hours as I tried to steady my breathing and calm my nerves. Every muscle in my body was tense, ready to run. The adrenaline was pumping and I could feel my pulse in my ears. Every muscle in my body was tense, ready to run. I could see the determination in the eyes of the other contestants. We were all in this together, yet each of us was alone in our own battle against the clock and our own fears. And run I did. The green light hit, and I was off like a shot. My legs moved almost on their own, driven by pure instinct and the desire to win. The wind rushed past my face, and for a moment I felt invincible. Except, not exactly. Turns out I'm not the most graceful runner. My legs felt like they were made of jelly and I stumbled more than once. It was like my body was betraying me at the worst possible moment. Picture a baby giraffe learning to use its legs. That was me, wobbly, uncoordinated, and desperately trying to stay upright. It was almost comical, but in the heat of the moment it was anything but funny. But guess what? I didn't get eliminated. Despite my less than graceful performance, I managed to stay in the game. Relief washed over me as I realized I had made it through the first round. I may not be fast, but I'm strategic. I knew that speed wasn't my strong suit, so I focused on staying as still as possible during the red light phases. It was all about timing and precision. I stayed focused, avoided any sudden movements, and crossed that finish line with a triumphant woo! The feeling of accomplishment was overwhelming. I had done it. I had survived the first challenge. My heart was still pounding, but hey, I was in the game. The adrenaline was still coursing through my veins, but now it was mixed with a sense of pride and determination. Bring on the next challenge. I was ready for whatever came next. The first round had tested my nerves and my strategy, but I was still standing, and I was more determined than ever to keep going. Sugar honeycombs, sweet success, or sticky defeat. Next, it was time for the sugar honeycombs. Remember those honeycomb shapes from the show? You had to carve them out perfectly or else snap. Thankfully, no snapping in this version. Phew. I chose the umbrella shape. Seemed easy enough, right? Wrong. It was surprisingly difficult. My hands were shaking and I was sweating bullets. I could practically hear the clock ticking down, but I kept at it, slowly and carefully. And finally, success! I held up my perfectly carved umbrella, feeling like a champion. Take that, honeycomb, you didn't stand a chance. Section 4, tug-of-war teamwork makes the dream work and prevents faceplants. Now, let's talk about tug-of-war. This one wasn't about individual skill, it was all about teamwork. And let me tell you, my team was awesome. We were like a well-oiled machine. We dug our heels in, grabbed that rope, and pulled with everything we had. My arms were burning, my face was probably the color of a tomato, but I wasn't giving up, and neither was my team. The other team put up a good fight, but we were unstoppable. Inch by inch, we pulled them closer and closer until... victory! We had won! We all collapsed in a heap, exhausted but exhilarated. There's nothing like the feeling of achieving something together. Section 5, marbles, a test of friendship and luck. Marbles. Oh, marbles. This game was tough, not physically tough, but emotionally tough. We had to pair up and play a simple game of marbles. The catch? The loser of each round had to wait for it, hug the winner. Just kidding. But seriously, this game was all about strategy, a little bit of luck, and maybe some good-natured trash talk. I won some rounds, I lost some rounds, but the best part? The laughter and camaraderie. It was a reminder that even in the heat of competition, friendship always wins. Section 6. Glass stepping stones, one wrong step, you're toast. Last but not least, the grand finale, glass stepping stones. This one was intense. Imagine standing on the edge of a platform, staring down at a series of glass panels, each one a potential trap. The tension in the air was palpable, and you could almost hear the collective heartbeat of the audience. The stakes were sky high and every step could be your last. Remember the terrifying glass bridge from the show? The one that had everyone on the edge of their seats biting their nails in suspense? Well, this challenge was designed to replicate that same heart-stopping fear. The glass panels looked identical, but some were strong enough to hold your weight, while others would shatter under the slightest pressure. Yeah, this was like a mini version of that. But don't let the word mini fool you. The fear and the stakes were just as high. Each step felt like a gamble, a roll of the dice with your fate hanging in the balance. The smaller scale didn't make it any less daunting. If anything, it made it more intense because there was less room for error. We had to carefully choose our steps across a path of glass panels. Each decision was crucial. One wrong move and it could all be over. The pressure was immense, and the margin for error was razor thin. It was a true test of nerve, balance, and decision-making under pressure. Some were strong, some were not so much. The challenge was in figuring out which was which. There were no obvious clues, no telltale signs. It was all about intuition and a bit of luck. The strong panels felt solid underfoot, giving you a momentary sense of relief. But the weak ones, they were a different story altogether. My heart was pounding in my chest. Each step felt like an eternity. The adrenaline was coursing through my veins, and I could feel my pulse in my ears. It was a mix of fear and excitement, a cocktail of emotions that left me breathless. The anticipation was almost unbearable. One wrong step, and it was game over. The thought of failure loomed large, casting a shadow over every move. The stakes were high, and the consequences of a misstep were dire. It was a high-wire act with no safety net. I took a deep breath, channeled my inner ninja, and started stepping. Slowly, carefully, deliberately. Each movement was calculated, each step measured. I tried to stay calm, to keep my focus sharp. The key was to stay in the moment, to not let the fear take over. Each step was a mini-victory. Every successful move felt like a triumph, a small win in the larger battle. It was a series of tiny accomplishments that built up my confidence step by step. But with each victory came the realization that the next step could be my last. But the pressure, it was unreal. And then, it happened. The moment I had been dreading. The pressure had been building, the tension mounting. It was a crescendo of fear and anticipation. And then in an instant everything changed. One wrong step, a sickening crunch. And down I went. The sound of the glass breaking was like a punch to the gut. It was the moment of truth, the culmination of all the fear and tension. And in that moment, I felt a mix of disappointment and relief. Okay, so I didn't actually fall through the glass. They weren't mean. The safety measures were in place to ensure that no one got hurt. but in the heat of the moment it felt all too real. The fear was genuine, the stakes felt high, and the experience was unforgettable, but it sure felt real. The realism of the challenge was what made it so intense. The danger felt palpable, the fear was tangible. It was an experience that pushed me to my limits both physically and mentally. I have to admit, I let out a little scream. It was a natural reaction to the intense pressure and fear. In that moment, all the emotions came flooding out. It was a release of all the tension that had been building up. Hey, a girl's gotta react, right? It's all part of the experience. The fear, the excitement, the relief. It's what makes these challenges so memorable. And even though I didn't win, I walked away with a story to tell, and an experience I'll never forget. Section 7. So which game would you choose? So there you have it, folks. My wild, wacky, and slightly terrifying journey through the Squid Game pentathlon. It was a roller coaster of emotions, from heart-pounding anxiety to triumphant joy, and maybe a little bit of fear-induced screaming. Now I have a question for you. Which game would be brave enough to try? Red light, green light, sugar honeycombs, tug of war, marbles, or the heart-stopping glass stepping stones? Let me know on my social media. And remember, play safe, have fun, and don't forget to hug your competitors.